Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is meeting with leaders in the Middle East as the United States is urging Israel to wind down major combat operations in Gaza and take a more targeted approach in its attacks. Earlier, he delivered remarks in Israel alongside the Israeli defense minister after meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Austin reiterated the United States' support for Israel, denounced Hamas, and emphasized the importance of getting hostages released. He also discussed the plan for a post-Hamas Gaza.
So the United States continues to believe, as we have under administrations of both parties, that it is in the interest of both Israelis and Palestinians to move forward toward two states, living side by side in mutual security.
Following Austin's remarks, the State Department announced the first commercial trucks have entered the Gaza Strip since the war began, joining UN-led deliveries. For more on the Defense Secretary's trip to Israel, Hugo Bachega, Middle East correspondent with our partners at the BBC, has more from Jerusalem.
There was no direct criticism of the Israeli military's actions in Gaza by the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin alongside the Israeli Defense Minister when they gave a statement earlier today. But I think he gave a hint of the frustration at the high number of civilian casualties in Gaza, frustration that has been expressed already by the Biden administration. He said he had discussions with the Israeli leadership about how to reduce harm to civilians, but he said he hadn't traveled to Israel to dictate timelines or terms, but that he had discussions about goals and objectives. He also said they talked about transitions from major combat operations to lower intensity and more surgical operations in Gaza. He also talked about the situation in the West Bank, where violence has been on the rise since the October attacks by Hamas. He said that attacks by extremist settlers on Palestinians must stop, and that those people involved in those attacks must be held accountable. This has been a long-running accusation by Palestinians, by human rights organizations operating in the West Bank, that many of those people have been able to act with impunity. And again, he repeated the Biden administration's position that the two-state solution is the only solution for this Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which is the preferred international proposal that would see the creation of an independent Palestinian state living alongside Israel. It is very interesting that he made these remarks just days after President Biden said that some members of the Netanyahu government were against the two-state solution and against the creation of a Palestinian state. And the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said that the war was going to take time, but that Israel would gradually transition to the next phase of the operations, particularly in the north of Gaza, and that some residents would be allowed to return to those areas. This was the main focus of the Israeli operation at the beginning of the war. Entire neighborhoods have been destroyed. But again, he said that the goals here are to destroy Hamas and to rescue the hostages who remain in captivity in Gaza, but that he said Israel would not control Gaza in any civilian way.